For more on this, we are being joined by Morgan Lorraine Vina from Washington, D.C. She's a senior fellow at the National Security Institute. Morgan, thank you so much for coming on WION to talk about this critical issue. The question many are asking is, how serious is President Biden's public potential showdown with Benjamin Netanyahu's government over the operations in Rafah, and may it impact the long-standing alliance between the United States and Israel?
Thanks for having me. I think what we're seeing here is politics play out in real time. President Biden clearly is suffering from challenges stemming from his November election coming up. We just saw in the Michigan primary, 100,000 voters in that state voted uncommitted. That is a critical state for President Biden to win. It's also those uncommitted voters, frankly, are Muslim and have many of them have Palestinian ties. And so they are clearly very concerned about what we're seeing play out in Gaza. At the same time, Prime Minister Netanyahu has his own political worries at home. He is suffering from low public opinion ratings. The majority of Israelis support continued Israeli engagement in Gaza. We're also seeing a lot of pushback. Israelis are not ready for a two-state solution, which the United States has been pressing upon. And so I think we're continuing to see really both sides just at a loggerheads here with, quite frankly, no real way forward.
Yeah, it does seem that way. And these implications of President Biden's warnings of a so-called red line. I mean, we know how detrimental these red lines are. If we recall, President Barack Obama made those calls in Syria and he didn't follow through. And this potential reduction of support, how will these two issues impact Israel's actions in Gaza and perhaps the overall outcome of the war?
Well, bottom line, President Netanyahu is not going to allow Hamas to commit another terrorist attack like it did on 10/7. It is incumbent on him to ensure that his country maintains its peace and security and is rid of terrorist entities. At the same time, President Biden, as I said before, is under immense political pressure from his left. We've seen calls for U.S. Reduction in assistance coming from Congress now for weeks, if not months. And so I think there is immense political pressure here in the United States on the president. It's unclear to what extent much of President Biden's comments of late are pure rhetoric. We saw the hot mic moment at the State of the Union, his so-called come to Jesus moment with Netanyahu is coming, so to speak. At the same time, I really don't think that the president is in any way capable of influencing Netanyahu at this point not to go into Rafah.
Yeah, and it's hard to imagine if the administration and the White House really wants to stop Netanyahu. As we mentioned, the weapons are still going, and there's a very strong and active Jewish American community as well, while there is one that supports Gaza and the Muslim community. Morgan, it was a pleasure speaking to you. Please do come back. I look forward to speaking to you again.
Thanks for having me.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.